All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle. Me, Coach Muddle, flying solo tonight. And I just wanted the last show of 2021. Wanted to get out there. Wish everybody a happy new year this weekend. And, some events. John Madden passed away. Big shock. They just had that big Fox, well worth the watch. If you have not seen it, believe they're airing it. Is it tonight again at 8:00? Not 100% on that. Check it out wherever you can. Great video, and listen to everybody talk about John Madden and what he meant, and a really a sad day. He was such a contributor to the league, and listening to the NFL Sirius Radio NFL channel, and the amount of behind the scenes things that he did and what he was about and things he did for the game is really remarkable. The amount of stuff that he did behind the scenes, what I'm saying, but because there's some guys out there in our audience, they watched him go up and down the sidelines and coach, and then there's my guys my age who watched him in the booth, doing that, and luckily enough, that was for me maybe not the those AFC teams as much, because he CBS that had the NFC, and being a Giant fan, the Giants were good. He did a lot of Giant games in the 80s, the mid to late 80s. So saw a lot of John Madden week in and week out. And back, because let's face it, that the 80s was kind of the heyday for the NFC East. It really was. So you saw him doing a lot of those NFC East teams, a lot. The Eagles, the Redskins, because at the time they were, and of course the Giants and Cowboys. So you saw a lot of John Madden, and then obviously moving on to Fox, and and then for the younger cats, it's all about the video game. I have to laugh. I'll share this story. Me and my roommate, we were out. This is out in Idaho. We heard a rumor that somebody had a man. I can't think of what it was. It wasn't a Xbox or. I think it was a Sega. We heard somebody had Madden. Madden. 91 or whatever it was, and we spent probably 2 or 3 days hunting this rumor down of, I heard so and so. So here you go. You got these two big guys knock on the door. Hey, man, I heard you got Madden. And he's like, yeah. I was like, you mind if we play? No, come on in. He's got, little 13-inch black and white TV, because, back in the day, not everybody had a color TV. And whatnot. And we sat there for hours playing this game. And finally, like 3 a.m., this dude comes in and goes, "Hey, man, I got to get class in the morning. You think I can go to bed?" Oh, man, that's my Madden story I'm sharing way back in the day for that, man. And just watching John Madden and him making a mess of the teleprompter was, one of my favorite things where he scribbled it in there. And I was thinking about it. There's another Madden reference that, I'm setting up the big screen for the coach to set up I'm setting up the teleprompter, and players and everybody's coming into the room, getting themselves situated, and I start putting up those X's and O's. And what's up, Anthony? Appreciate you jumping in, buddy. And then I start drawing up a play and doing a John Madden. Yeah, you got this guy going, bam, into here, and the kids are all looking at me like, huh, what? I go, that's John Madden. They're like, the video game? I'm like, yeah, the video game guy. It's really, yeah. They had no idea, but those are just a couple of my John Madden stories, man. And it's a shame that he passed, so suddenly around the holidays. God, it's terrible. Again, my thoughts, prayers go out to John and his family. With that, it's a shame, because I guess he's in the spotlight with that, for Christmas Day, the big show that came out, and so he's kind of a little relevant again. And then for him to pass, they said pass suddenly. So, man, it's a shame that it went that way. So, how great, I mean, to go back and I really kind of, I don't know, tread lightly or whatever. But, Al Davis, who, ask any Raider Nation, any Raider fan, yes, of course, short end of the stick, gets the raw deal where the Raiders, blah, blah, blah. But, man, he had the foresight in so many aspects of football. And Al was really a football guy that understood it. I don't know that there is an owner in the league that you could sit down, and I'm sorry, Jerry Jones is not. I mean, just, you're not a football guy, where, like, I felt like, the stories you hear, Al Davis, is, talking coverages and different things. So I just, he was just an innovator, and, he was able to get a guy, who was John Madden. I mean, he was a guy that, came to Philadelphia, hurt his knee, and, stuck in a room watching film. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's the youngest head coach in the NFL. And, what makes it even special, his record is, that was kind of the heyday of coaches. He went up against Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Don Shula. There was no, you're talking about some great head coaches back in that day, that he went and wound up beating and getting those wins. And what really surprised me quite a bit is that he got it took him 20 years to get into the Hall, which is, that, it's the Raider, snub or whatever, but, really. But he was so ahead of the curve with, player safety and all those things that really made it, that really evolved to the game today, that we see it. He was an integral part of that, which is you wouldn't know, so pretty cool. It was, I heard Pete Carroll get on and say, when they came out with that tackling video up there in Seattle, John Madden called him. And he thought, he was like, I felt like a kid in a candy store. John Madden calling me? What? And, just talking about the great innovation and everything that those guys had come up with, man. I thought that was really, really cool. So, and props to John Madden. Feel free, jump in the comments with John Madden and anything else you got going on. I know Nevada Nick said he's going to jump in with his playoff picks, and we'll see who he likes. I already know who I like. Down here, South Florida, almost pulled the trigger on, because I originally had to hook up, because I got a buddy going to go to the game tomorrow night, but circumstances came up. They couldn't go, and I was more of wasn't their tickets anyway. It was just, we got an extra guy. Can he tag along? They were like, sure, and fell through anyway. But then I saw, man, ticket prices dropped. I saw they were like $176. Now you can go to the game, $176 to the Orange Bowl, and was going to pull the trigger, but I got that early flight in the AM, and whatnot, and this whole craziness here. So Michigan opted to come in today instead of earlier in the week. So they weren't around like I thought they were going to be. But we'll check in later with Nevada Nick and see who he likes, and with that, and then we have the big matchup here this week. Like this is a tough week for me, and I think for most Giant fans. You're playing the Chicago Bears. You have their number one pick. Do you beat them so you get a better pick, but then that drops you down? Or do you let them beat you so you get bumped up? It's kind of where do you go with this? Like, what is it? It just – it bothers me because Seattle couldn't take care of business with like 5 minutes to go in the game. You couldn't run the clock out and bring that home. And instead, they let the Bears come all the way back. So now I'm really I'm kind of torn this week. It's like. Let's just get it over with and move on with our day. And, why is, why my problem is, why is Dave Gettleman still in the building? Why is he there? He already said he was leaving. So why are we not, or we're firing him or whatever we're doing? Why is he still in the building? Why is he in the building? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's not in the building and he's working remotely. Very, very possibly is working, but, aren't they interviewing candidates? Louis Riddick is he's not unemployed, but he's not employed by a team. So why are you not interviewing? And is the rule with the coaches the same as the general managers? Is that window open as well? I don't know what it is with that. I guess I have to check in and see what that is, because why are they not interviewing guys to replace it? Where is this? Your fan base is, we've had it. We've had it with how piss poor this place is, as just gotten run down. I mean, run down. You've run this franchise into the ground, Mr. Mara. Do you have CTE? Do you have dementia? Have you been checked out? And part of the problem is, I know, give family members jobs. I get that whole thing. You own the team, do what you want, but what are we? But what are we? We're putting guys in charge of personnel. They can't be in charge of player engagement or fan engagement or some other. Hey, here's our charitable. He's in charge of our charitable organization. Why couldn't you go buy a soccer team like Bob Kraft did and let his kids run that? You couldn't have done that. I mean, come on now. Go something else. Unfriggin' believable when you watch how bad the NFC was, and you see how these teams have made these strides, and yet it's like the Giants went and slammed it into drive and blew the transmission. And now they're just rolling back. And everybody's making advancements. They're putting pieces together, and you're seeing flashes. I mean, look, Dallas had a terrible defense, and you gave them, one of the best defensive players in the draft, arguably. I mean, I think he's going to probably equal LT with being a rookie defensive player and defensive MVP in the same season. I mean, he's having a hell of a year. I mean, you're telling me that Kadarius Toney is better than Parsons. Kadarius Toney can't even stay on the field. And I don't know, for the last, you've heard me say this for the last, 3 or 4 drafts, that we need an edge rusher to get this defense to make that stepping stone. Just like you need that, anchor on the offensive line, you need that anchor on the defensive line. And I'm sorry, but Williams is not that guy. Again, we're paying Robbins Batman money, and they're showing that they are just a Robin. And Was Dexter Lawrence worth the pick that we got for Odell Beckham? No. Would he have been there in the second round? Yes. Everybody's called that a reach. And then you took Baker, you traded up back into the first round to get Baker, who's, you had to cut because of issues. And, he looked pretty good in Kansas City last week. So I don't get it. And that's the same draft. Daniel Jones came along. And again, you could have had a defensive end. And, I don't think that the biggest issue with Daniel Jones, okay, he's a bust. But if we had waited later into the draft, like most people had him, we would have been a lot better. John Madden, the great. Hey, PP Eater, how you doing, buddy? And there, man. Another, you got another. Again, the Vikings, playing for their lives again, and going to wind up coming up short. I believe that there's going to be a coaching change and a quarterback change in Minnesota. Yeah, you're not winning out. You're not. You can't. You have Kirk Cousins. In case you forgot, you can't. So Kirk Cousins can't beat a winning team. So, and I honestly, I don't see. I think the Eagles are playing really good right now. So I don't see them losing. What are their last two games? I mean, it's Dallas and Washington, right? Isn't that their last? Right? Isn't it? Or Washington and Dallas? Yeah. So, and there are no Redskins anymore, Tommy. Come on now. I know you didn't get across the pond yet. It's, they're the Washington football team. So, but yeah, it's, they beat the Redskins, or they beat the Washington football team, but, Dallas is going to come and play some football because they are, still trying to get that number one seed. Should the Packers hiccup, and I just don't see that. But maybe you heard of this little band from Boston. They sing this song. It's called "Dream On, Dream On," and maybe next year, new coach. Doug Peterson's available. So yeah. All right, Tommy. Good night, buddy, over there across the pond. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate you checking in, buddy. Have a good night. Happy New Year, man. So and hey, look, Anthony, you know what? It's all about Russell Wilson's wife. She wants to come to New York. But my thing is this. Russell Wilson's biggest gripe has been, well, we don't have an offensive line. Well, you're sucking up all the money. They can't pay an offensive line. And, he's going to come to New York. What's our biggest problem? Offensive line. And I really, do you want to give up picks to take on a contract for a guy? He would like to, but if I'm the Giants, hopefully, no. I mean, I am, play young. We have a lot of cap issue with these big contracts moving around, and and I heard Lawrence Tynes come out and be on the Abrams bandwagon. I'm sorry, but that building's got to get cleaned out, man. Okay, got to, man. The Giants on paper, sure, but really they're not. I just don't see. You have a busted running back with Saquon Barkley. You have receivers that can't stay on healthy on the field. You have a tight end that can't catch a cold buck naked in Antarctica, and an offensive line that can't block. So where does that leave you? I mean, when you look at the Giants, the only thing that I see is the secondary. I mean, I know Jabril Peppers is out, but him and Kenny from the two safeties and the two corners, that's a good unit. And if you can add a pass rusher, that's what I'm saying. If you did not trade back and you took Micah Parsons at that point, I mean, that defense would be, I think we'd be talking about the Giants in a playoff hunt. I'm not saying they'd be winning, but I think they win a few more games than they have, and we'd be very differently about them. But would Daniel Jones still never been on his bandwagon? Don't think that he is the guy or will be the guy, and it's time to move on. And what the Giants need to do is just get a stopgap guy. And I'm sure next year Daniel Jones will be the quarterback next year because he's still a rookie deal, but we're not going to sign his 5th-year option, and we will move on from there, and hopefully, with those 2 picks that we have in the top 10, I see the center from Iowa and the defensive end from Purdue, because I think the other 2 defensive ends, Thibodeau and Hutchinson, will be gone before they get to the Giants. So the number 3 is the kid from Purdue, high motor. And I think those 2 picks thereafter, and then I think in the second round, you need to start looking running back, and see on draft day. Hopefully you can get something, No, Anthony, just one. Not, I'm not tackle. Andrew Thomas has played really, really well. He's really coming into his own. He made a big leap. If anybody has, it's been him. It's that interior. I think you got to go center. Really struggled with center. Got to get a center in there, and defensive end, not 2, because there's some other, you can get some other offensive linemen, and I'm not, the jury's still out on Matt Pert. I'm high on him. I think he can come in and play that right tackle spot and play really well. And also we have the guy on the practice squad who was a number 1 pick for Tennessee that got cut. Why is he not playing? I mean, we need help on the interior. Why have we not bumped him up and moved him inside? Let him play guard at least. And I think Perka is injured. They might be bringing him up, the kid from who played in Georgia with Thomas, the other side. So, let's see if we can. So I'm not sold, Anthony, on using 2 picks on O lineman. And I'm going really interior is really where our we need some help big time, and Will Hernandez just didn't pan out either. He's just not the guy, he didn't, that's why his stock fell. It was plummeting. I still think Will Hernandez would have been around in the 3rd round. I mean, his stock was plummeting, and we stopped his free fall because they kept telling us he's a first rounder. Well, if he was, someone would have picked him in the first round then, and they didn't. So, yeah. But we'll see. I haven't seen, and I don't know where, and just take what you can get for Saquon, and here's something that really I'm going to float this out there is sending Saquon to the 49ers, and we get Garoppolo and a 5th round pick back. What do you think? I mean, I would have him as the stopgap. Let him play for 2 years. While you fix the rest of this. And if you catch lightning in a bottle and win some playoff games, then so be it. But I think that's not a bad trade. You're looking at a team that likes to run the football, really running. They have a great running attack, and they can really use a guy like Saquon to really help their young quarterback. And we get Jimmy G, which I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And Jimmy G in a 5th or 6th rounder. I don't, more like a 4th or 5th, but I'll settle for the 5th round pick and move on with our day. I mean, I'm just in. Barkley has to go somewhere and just not on the Giants. He's a bust. It's just in case you didn't hear me, Saquon Barkley is a bust. Thank you very much. Okay. And Dave Gettleman, that's the biggest problem I have with, of all Dave Gettleman's stuff was you had a top 3, you had the 3rd pick in the draft, a quarterback heavy. Everybody wanted a quarterback, and you could have had a truckload of picks for that. It's a little hard to trade a player who always figured and got bad knees, most likely have to cut him. Yeah, I don't know that you'd have. You may have to. You're right because again, Gettleman gave him his option, so we got to pay his ass, guaranteed his 5th year option. But I think someone will take him because there is talent there, and hopefully maybe he can show it on another team. And I think that you might be able to trade him a little bit because there's money involved with him and Garoppolo and whatnot. So I think you can make something work. And really, if you get the 49ers and Buffalo, because Buffalo has no running game. And I love Singletary. But, you add Barkley into the mix, at least it causes some problems for people, and it doesn't go all on Josh Allen's shoulder. Maybe if the new general manager comes in and can start a little bidding war between those two, maybe we'll get something out of it. But we'll see. I can only hope. But you're right. At the end of the day, we'll probably have to cut him. But I think somebody will take a chance and we'll be able to get something, salvage something from him, because Booker's playing pretty a lot better than him. And I said this before, it helps that inexperienced offensive line, it helps that inexperienced offensive line, gets them moving and rolling, So we'll see how that works out. this offseason. That's why, hurry up and get to 2 weeks. Let's get into some playoff football and go, and listen, it has been crazy. I can't believe that we're in the last 2 weeks of football. It would actually be the last week last season. We'd be talking about this is the last week of the football season. But now they've added the extra game. So we have 2 weeks left before we get into the playoffs, and we'll we got Nevada Nick. I thought he said he was going to push out his predictions for some college games, but I don't know. Haven't heard from him because I'm not rolling too late. I got a little whatchamacallit, bonfire to get to, and so I'm going to cut out a little bit early tonight, and see. I'm sending Nevada Nick a text and see what he's busy. Is he at the massage parlors, poker game? Who knows what he's up to, but we'll see from there. We got but again, back to the New York Football Giants. I'm when are we going to start interviewing and going through the process? Because I feel like Gettleman, they didn't interview anybody but Gettleman. They interviewed Abrams. Well, they didn't take him the first time. So why? And I believe he's the cap guy. Abrams is really the cap guy, not a football guy. And we're in a little cap trouble. So why would he be the cap? Why would you want the cap guy in there? So I have no idea. We'll see. We'll get into more Sunday, January 2nd. We'll be here, fresh new year, same show. Fresh new year though, we'll be on. I think the best game is going to be the Michigan-Georgia game. I'm sorry, Billy. I think Georgia pulls it out, but I don't think that Georgia will cover. So I like Georgia, probably the under in that game. Alabama, I think, just steamrolls Ohio State's little brother, and we go from there. It'll be so we'll see. Everyone, listen, I want to thank everyone for checking me out or checking out the show. Please come back Sunday, 10 a.m. Nevada Nick will be here. Stiz also with the fantasy advice. I believe that's your and his prop bets, because he's been pretty solid. You've been following this show all season. You've made some money if you're into the wagering stuff. So please take a look, hit the like button, subscribe if you're over on YouTube. We appreciate all the love. Share it with your friends. Let your friends know. We love it. Listen, everyone, stay safe. Enjoy the new year. Bring it in loud and proud. And we'll see everybody Sunday morning. Hey, have a great time. Be safe. And we'll see you guys Sunday.